All right, we're ready.
Okay.
Can you hit the light for us? Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another late night podcast episode. Check the episode number. But back another week, another day,
Hey, everybody.
another night. So hopefully everybody out there is doing good, feeling good. Hopefully everyone had a great day. I believe I had a great day. This is kind of the icing on the cake. Getting this, in a sense, getting it out the way, but really more so getting it out. I think this is a goal for us to produce these episodes. So
hmm
we're going somewhere. Thank y'all for coming with us.
Yes, glad to have you all back. So, I'm ready to get into it today. But as always, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little tired-ish, but not sleepy, as I mentioned earlier. It's more so I think it's just because I needed some water earlier and I kind of put it off like an hour longer than I should have. And I think that kind of did it. But I'm feeling good. We just took a walk and that gave me some energy. Feels good outside right now. So
That's good.
it's like a good balance with the chill, light breeze, but it's
Yeah,
not like cold, cold. So the walk was refreshing, you know.
that's good.
But yeah, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Uh, I'm I'm doing good. I'm actually kind of happy because
Kind of
I
happy, okay. Like,
I had set a goal for myself in January
mm-hmm,
and I've been actually doing it. And this week, actually, I was kind of tired.
mm-hmm,
So mentally, I was like slacking a little bit, but thankfully, I still pushed through.
mm-hmm.
And I was glad that I didn't follow through because I don't want to quit on myself. So it felt good to just push myself and do it. And I was happy afterwards. So
So how
um,
much? Oh, my bad, my bad,
no,
my
no,
bad. This
ask
is just a
away.
side note, but I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say how much of a goal or accomplishing a goal is like mental, because you just say you set a goal and you was feeling kind of mentally tired, you know. So I'm assuming you didn't quit, but you might have.
Like I almost didn't do it.
So that kind of.
Like I don't even know if I would say like physically
Mm-hmm.
I was tired, but like I just didn't feel like doing
Yeah,
it.
but that's interesting. But I'm aware of what the goal is, obviously. But there's some goals that it is like you just do it and it's done once and for all. But then this is a more continuous goal for you. So it's kind of like, even though you already know what to expect, physically what the task takes,
hmm
I guess the mental part is you don't always know which mental, you know,
State I'm gonna be in.
yeah, or just like, I guess what's going to be on your mind, how you're going to feel. Because I'm not saying that a once and for all goal is easy, because it just depends on what it is and how big it is, but and how detailed maybe accomplishing the goal can get, or what it is. But I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like
hmm
there's just an element of, if you were to put off a one-time goal, it's like, I don't feel like doing it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. But if it's a continuous thing that you got to do over and over and over, it's
Yeah,
like, that's, you can't just consult how you feel mentally and
yeah,
use that as the determiner. So
yeah. I really had to look at that, and I mean, because it was really to the point that I think the other day I waited almost literally till it was time to go to sleep
yeah,
and did it at the last minute, but I had to talk myself into like, don't quit on yourself. And then if you miss today,
yeah,
you're gonna like mess the whole schedule or the routine of doing it up.
yeah.
And I didn't want to even have to deal with that afterwards. So,
So is it, to your point of a routine? So is that where we now take a goal and our feelings and maybe in some way, shape, or form, like we think for ourselves in advance by saying, I'm gonna do this. And then that's what we have to consult when it's time to do it. Like what I said I was gonna do versus like, I'm gonna do this. Well, I don't feel like it, so I'm not gonna do that.
Absolutely. I think it's a great measure of self accountability to set something up for yourself in advance because it does force us to be more practical. And, something like you told me the other day is like it just forces us to look at what is.
Yeah.
So now it really is like either you're going to do what you said you're going to do or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how you feel about it is. If you're able to do it and get it done, like why are you not doing that?
Yeah.
So
Sounds very robotic, but like hearing you say it, but it's like, I mean, it is true. I mean, I think a lot of times we do, as people, we go into certain, I'll just say, trains of thought, like excited, you know. It might even be something that we know is going to be difficult, but we're excited in the moment. Like we romanticize being able to accomplish it, or maybe not just romanticize, but whatever. Like we just paint this picture in our mind, like, oh, I'm going to do it. And
yeah.
like, that's good. That's great. I think we should think that way. We should believe in that way. But we don't, like you just said, we don't necessarily, even in those moments, before actually approaching it to do it, we don't realize in like the planning or the vision stage, like what all it's gonna take. We
Yeah.
don't make it extremely practical.
Yeah.
So then we find ourselves in that moment of confronting, am I gonna do this right now or not? Am I gonna start? Am I gonna continue? Am I gonna do what I said? Now it becomes like a different aspect of emotion showing itself.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you said you were gonna do it, but you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, so that's what I was kind of saying. Like, I mean, yeah, putting it on paper and almost allowing that to act as like your decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
But then even there's almost like how we used to do outlines for, school papers.
Yeah.
It's almost like we should darn near outline the process before we put down what we're actually going to do to decide and even try to set ourselves up. Like, I know this is better suited for me to do early than late,
Yeah.
those kind of details. Otherwise, we kind of set ourselves up for like, yeah, I said I was going to do it, but I'm going to have to try again next January.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, it is a good measure of accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to blame anybody
Yeah.
for anything. Like it literally falls on you.
Yeah.
And you have to decide if you're okay with looking in the mirror and knowing like you made the decision to not do it.
Yeah. After making a decision to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't really truly know what you want?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or I don't know, maybe you're not ready for what it takes to have what you want.
Or that.
And I
That is
think
good, yeah.
that's a reality like you really have to face. Because sometimes, like I know people say things like count the cost or whatever because we maybe should have some level idea of what it's going to take from us
Yeah.
to get something done or to go through some type of process. But I think a true test of that is when you actually start to do it and you recognize how you might feel on some days or what it is actually taken from you energy wise. I mean, it really forces all of these areas to the surface.
Yeah.
Like your discipline, your timing, and all of these different things you're like really forced to manage. And then you have to say, like, wow, like it takes all of these other things I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like, do I really want this?
Yeah. That's true.
So
This is actually a great segue
mm-hmm.
to the topic question, case in point. I don't even know if that's, but yeah. Is it really that difficult to start a routine? Or why is it so hard to start a routine? Is it really that difficult? Like, I don't know. I guess the thought kind of comes from my own personal, like I feel like I'm decent at you know, doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But like for the right reasons, like sticking to something, using that, you know, I guess that time or whatever that activity is to find some sense of purpose or devote, myself and my energy to something for the sake of something bigger, maybe like a future goal or, even if it's just like a daily, like time spent with God kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to just overall routine, because it's one thing to like do things routinely, but it's another thing to like really have a detailed routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for myself, and maybe there's some listeners, maybe you can attest to this, but as we try to develop our schedule, sometimes around work or school or, our responsibilities at home or even just trying to find time to rest,
Yeah.
I feel like we know when it's like, I could be doing this right here, or I want to do this right here with this time. Even
Mm-hmm.
if it's not every day, but it's like on these days, I want to be doing this. But then it's like, all right, next week I'm going to start doing this, or tomorrow I'm going to start
Mm-hmm.
doing this. And then next thing you know, we wake up, you know, 9 a.m., said you were going to wake up at 7.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's still early. You do this thing, you feel good. You do another thing, you feel good. But next morning you wake up, you remember you forgot to do something else, whatever. But however it might go, I feel like we always, or I always find myself like, dang, like I'm not really doing the routine like I see it. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that's just a constant search to be better and desire to be better. But in reality, I think it's just like, it's difficult, to do, to have a routine, to start a routine, but obviously ultimately to keep one. But I think it's harder to even start it than it is to keep it.
Hmm.
And
I
I
mean,
say that my bad because I can do things routinely, but those are things that I've already established. But like in establishing things to do routinely, that's
yeah.
where the difficulty comes, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I think right here, get your pen and your paper out. I think it's two things. One, I think it's distractions,
Yeah.
not limiting distractions enough and improving our focus. And the second thing is, I think sometimes we don't give the details within that routine enough credit.
Yeah.
S-
Meaning like we kind of just say, oh, I'm going to do that without realizing all that it takes, like you kind of already said.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so for example, we could say in our routine, like we're going to work out,
Mm-hmm.
but there's details in that. You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
get ready. Maybe there's certain gear or certain things you need, or maybe you have to travel somewhere to get to that place. You have to account for that time.
Got to train to be a minute man so you can get dressed in 1 minute.
Oh, you gotta do what you gotta do. Like however it works for you,
Yeah.
you have to account for that. You have to account for the workout.
Yeah.
You gotta account for the time you get back. Maybe you sweat a lot. There's no shame in that, but you
Yeah.
might have to add in like you shower.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a recovery you gotta do. Then you have to eat. I'm not saying that takes 5 hours,
Yeah.
but if you're just starting your routine, you have to figure those things out. And you have to, the more you get to know yourself and you refine your like routine and all that,
Mm-hmm.
I think the details come together more and maybe the time even cuts down.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's hard because we're trying to do all that. And then we're also trying to prune away some of the things that used to distract us
Yeah.
before.
You said some good stuff in there, some great stuff. So essentially, step one, or number one, most important to establishing a routine is pay attention to the details. I mean, you said the details will come together. I think that's really good because I think we do got to give ourselves credit. Like, even if it is one thing you do routinely, I feel like over time, you'll even become more, if you keep up with that one thing, like it'll become more, I guess just your relationship with that thing will become deeper.
Yeah.
Like it won't just be like you got up and read a couple pages. Like next thing you know, you're highlighting. Next thing you know, you're taking notes. Next thing you know, you're reading over those same things
Mhm.
over and over again. Next thing you know, you're having conversations with people talking about these things.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're formulating your own ideas and conversations off of just starting a routine and say, I'm going to read a couple pages,
Yeah.
a day, whatever. But, paying attention to the details, I think is very important. But I want to say with that, what else did you just say? Going back to, I guess just previously, I lost my train of thought. You just said the details. What else did you just say? You said some good stuff. I ain't gonna lie.
Getting to know yourself or the
Yeah. Oh
distractions.
yeah, the distractions. That's what it is. Distractions are major, and I don't think we pay enough attention to those details. Like sometimes we feel like we don't have enough time, but to your point, if we're able to subtract from our routine, if you want to call it that, the
Mhm.
things that are taking time away, we don't even realize like with that extra 10 or 15 minutes, you could have that adds up. You do something productive with that every day, or like I said, it could be once a week, but over time, I mean, it makes a major difference. It's a difference between, getting out there and being able to still run a mile under 5 minutes. And for anybody who can, and, that ain't nowhere near the time you clocking in now. And it's
Yeah.
not about just, again, uh, everything's not a competition, but I think if we do look at it from a longevity standpoint, like we don't have to accomplish everything in a day.
Yeah.
So if we pay attention to the details, if we find, those gaps, I think to make more time, to add productivity to our routine, to our schedule, then like in the long run, I feel like we'll naturally be getting better without even it taking that much energy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I'm glad you added in it not taking a day or it
Yeah.
taking a day.
Well, not having to accomplish everything in a day.
Yes, not having to accomplish everything in a day. That's important because it still goes hand in hand with the getting to know yourself aspect.
Yeah.
And if I'm still going off of the exercise analogy, which, I think most people try to set some form of an exercise goal when they want to change their eating habits or their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And what if this your first day working out and you tired?
Yeah.
You might not have time to get to the other things yet until you figure out what your body is doing.
Yeah.
So when you pick it back up the next day or the day after, like, okay, the first day I was actually a little tired. I had to rest. So that's when what you said kind of comes in.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I know I need to sit down for
Yeah.
30 minutes or something. Like,
I mean, cause also, I mean, don't not to cut you off, but
Mhm.
don't quit because on day one you might not know yourself fully on day one.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I want to knock this microphone
I
over.
mean, I think 1A then is to pay attention to the details, and maybe 1B is get to know yourself
Yeah.
because those things kind of go hand in hand. These details that you're taking in, like we have 5 senses, if not 6.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, but we have 5 senses. We're able to we're able to I'm just gonna say take in our environment, and as we're taking in our environment throughout the day, based on what we're doing, what we choose to do with our time, how we choose to spend our time, essentially we are getting to know ourselves. Like we are realizing how we react, how we feel. Like if studying is a part of your routine, like do you need it quiet? Do you need music? Do you like studying by the window? You know what I mean? Like, do you prefer daylight or
Mm-hmm.
sunlight, or do you prefer um, a lamp? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Do you like writing in pen, pencil? But
Mm-hmm.
if on day one, like you're absolutely miserable because you're so caught up in the fact that you have to study
Yeah.
and you hate it, you dread it, and as opposed to like trying to find like, okay, I don't look forward to this, but I know it's necessary. I know it's gonna make me better. I know I'm gonna get the grade I need. I know I'm gonna get the knowledge as a result. So let's see how I can best approach this to make myself, if not most comfortable, like position myself to be most effective. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a part of. I think those are examples of finding the gaps.
Yeah.
Because if you can make yourself more effective, now you can kind of lean more into the activities,
Yeah.
lean more into establishing that routine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
number
that's
2,
good.
find the gaps.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Are you good? I find the gap.
Find the gap. But yeah, no, this is a necessary conversation because it's definitely easy to look at other people and think that they just got it in a day,
Yeah,
but it does it does take time
yeah,
to
yeah,
figure what it is out for you as an individual, and especially because you know we're essentially talking about a routine that hopefully is like a lifestyle type, routine. So it's not something where you want to just have this and you want everything. It's like you have to find time for that
yeah,
amongst everything else.
yeah. I think
This
life
is
changing routine too.
yeah,
Lifestyle, life changing.
this is more so like this is going to become the heart and soul of what it is you're doing, and everything else like work and
Mm-hmm.
this, that, and the third should find their way around what you're doing. Because essentially you'll have it because it's what's most important to you.
Yeah,
And
it should
that's
be leading you.
yeah. And that's how all the other elements of your life will be able to incorporate themselves.
Yeah.
And it can be challenging because I also think this might be a third thing. I don't know what we would call
Third
this.
thing, I think you already said it. I should have. I think the third thing is take your time.
Take your time.
Yeah, you said it, but
I don't want to give them too much, but this is something else
that's
that
okay.
is
Keep going. They're following along, right? Right.
because,
Thank you.
yeah, good. Because these elements might begin to, I think people feel like these elements begin to collide. You're trying to decide how you're going to do one facet of something that's important to you
Yeah.
while like trying to see how you're going to fit in hanging out or spending time
Yeah.
doing other things. And how do you, I think people struggle with finding that balance, and I think that also makes people want to kind of quit or give up.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying what's the next part? If you had to put it into words,
I mean, is
find the
there,
balance.
no, I'm not saying literally find a balance
Oh,
because I don't know if there's a balance to be found.
yeah.
I think it's, we have to do this, we have to be willing to go through this type of process of figuring out that routine so that all the other elements
So what's
can.
the next step? You say you didn't want to give them too much. I thought you had a step in mind.
No, I have a question for you.
Okay. Well, let me recap, and then you can ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
So we got
Pay attention to the
pay attention
details.
to the details. That's 1A. We got 1B, get to know yourself. Those kind of go hand in hand. We got 2, step 2 is find the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Step 3 is take your time because
Yes.
it can't all be done in a day, So, and then, I'm sure there's more steps, but I think if you're taking your time, I mean, that should mean like if you were able to find those gaps, meaning if you were able to make time, eliminate some of those distractions and apply some productivity, or be productive in some added time throughout your day or whatever and establishing your routine. Like, I think over time, you'll see the difference if you're taking your time. So don't find those gaps and then again think that don't make light of 10 minutes or 15 minutes,
Yeah.
Like if you can apply yourself for 15 minutes, do it and take your time, meaning like continue to do that until you can do more.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what's the question? My bad.
No, that's good. I think those are the 4 steps, and what I'm proposing right now is food for thought.
Okay.
Um, so is there a balance to be had with your personal routine and every other element of life?
Um, I mean, I would say theoretically or in theory, yes, you can have a balance, but I think you said it right before. Like, I don't know if there is a balance to be had because essentially, if this is a lifestyle, as you put it, or if it's life changing, like if you expect this to be life changing, I say this routine should lead you. A routine really should lead you because, and I was going to say this earlier, you said something that made me just consider, the routine being like the heart and soul of our day or of who we are. It's kind of it's something that when we are wasting time, or when we are just sitting and thinking, or when we do imagine ourselves doing something else than what we might currently be doing, you know, it's like, what are we gonna allow this, thing that's pulling us to lead us in that direction of what we know we should be doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we just gonna continue to imagine ourselves or ignore that or continue to waste time? So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're actually allowing, a routine, even if it's not fully established, but if you're walking in what you see for yourself, I feel like you would be establishing a routine, and you wouldn't need to balance that with anything,
Yeah.
because you'd be so consumed with what it is you should be doing or what you need to be doing, because you back to the just the whole vision element of life. Like, you'll have a vision that's coming together,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean it doesn't include a balanced outlook or way
Mm-hmm.
of living, but that balance would be strictly as it pertains to who you are, who you were created to be.
Yeah.
Not balance like, well, let me do me, but then let me try to please everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the people that would be most pleased would be whoever is looking at your life, as you continue to grow and saying, wow, like that person is really here on their mission.
Yeah.
So I would say it's not about balance. There is no balance to be had other than balancing what it is you should be balancing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's contradictory, but not balancing the old you with the new you.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
Eliminate the old you.
I think I agree with
Be
that.
the new you,
Yeah.
and then you'll be balanced.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I just wanted us to touch on that because I know there are real feelings that come along with doing something like that, and it can get conflicting, especially if, you're connected with people that have no problem being vocal with you about how they feel about what you might be doing. And
yeah,
um and I think it's important we say that to kind of remove the fluff from what it takes sometimes
yeah.
to do it, and really to just serve as encouragement as well.
I mean,
um,
but it's about being bold. I think too. Like, I think that's a not saying you're not bold if you don't have a routine or anything like that, but I think a lot of times um, we consider what others might think more than what we know we should be doing.
yeah.
Or we're not even giving attention sometimes to what it is we know we should be doing, which is why we gave those steps, so we can kind of get closer to what that looks like to establish really like a relationship with your day, you
Yeah.
know, with your life. To
Hmm.
me, I mean, if I had to define a routine, I think it's something to the tune of that. Like,
Coined it here first.
but it's worth more than a coin. No, I'm just playing. But nah, um, but yeah, I think we have to be bold, and it doesn't mean we have to be mean or disrespectful or hateful or not walking love. But I think you will be doing that because you'll know who you are, so you can more freely like emit like confidence and
Yeah.
leadership and
And
love.
you'll be
Like,
who you truly are, and that's fulfilling.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is fulfilling. You'll be genuine. Like when you open up a coat. I mean, it might be an old coat, might be at your grandma's house now, but an old leather coat, and that thing say 100% leather. Like,
What?
that's why it still exists.
True.
Like,
It's real. It's real. You get the real thing.
you, people might not wear it every day, but it's gonna be in that closet, hanging up in the same condition you left it in,
Yeah.
because it's real. Um, but yeah, be you, be 100% leather.
And it's time to go, y'all.
But I'm only saying that really too because I had another question, like, what does it mean to be genuine? But I think we're really speaking to it, so I don't really have to, I feel like, ask that question. But or maybe we'll touch on it next episode next week. But yeah, be genuine, be real, be you, be bold. Walk in your routine as often as you can and see your life change. I feel like
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So we've pontificated.
Yeah, we sure did.
I
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
think it was a good one, though. Thank you for taking notes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Um, thank you for spreading the love as we're trying to do. So peace. Appreciate it. Enjoy your
Peace.
night and be blessed. We'll see you next week.